What's the worst part about being the only daughter in a family that wanted sons? For me, it started with the driving thing. When my brothers, Tyler and Jake, turned 16, Dad gave them both driving lessons, took them to practice, and even helped them pick out their first clunker cars. When I turned 16, he tossed me a bus pass and said, "Girls are naturally worse drivers anyway." Like my ovaries were gonna hit the gas and crash us into a tree or something. I tried to brush it off as just old school dad nonsense. But then came the moment that really made it click. I was 17, and my chemistry teacher announced a science fair with a $5,000 scholarship prize. And look, I'd been crushing chemistry all year, straight A's. Meanwhile, Tyler was drowning in algebra, and Jake treated his Xbox like it was a full-time job. I threw myself into this project, spent 3 solid weeks researching water purification, built actual working prototypes in our garage using pond water that smelled like death. I was out there with goggles and duct tape while Mom brought me snacks like I was on Chopped Science Edition. Dad didn't even ask what I was working on. Then, 2 days before the fair, Tyler came home with a D on a math test. Dad didn't yell or ground him. Nope, he sat him down at the kitchen table and spent 2 hours helping him with homework, then dropped $2,500 on some summer engineering camp to build his math skills. I was like, "Sir, your daughter is out back building Brita filters from scratch. But sure, let's invest in Geometry Boy." That same night, I finally perfected my water filter, cleaned muddy pond sludge into crystal clear drinkable water in under 10 minutes. I was buzzing with excitement and tried telling Dad during dinner. He cut me off with, "That's nice, sweetie, but Tyler needs help with his geometry." So there I was, watching him draw triangles on napkins, while my potential scholarship-winning invention sat lonely in the garage like an ignored puppy. I stayed up practicing my presentation till midnight. Charts, graphs, even a demo. I felt ready. But the next morning when I came downstairs, I saw Dad loading up the car with camping gear. Me, "Where are you going?" Him, "Taking Tyler to his Scout Survival weekend." I reminded him, gently but panicking inside, that my science fair was in 2 hours. He blinked like he forgot it existed. "Oh right, your little project thing. Can't your mom take you?" She was already at work. Other car gone. I stood on the steps holding my display boards watching them drive off, totally invisible. Then Jake came outside, saw my face, and asked what was wrong. I told him everything. For once, he didn't crack a joke or shrug it off. He just said, "That's messed up." Then plot twist. He offered to help. Said he'd call his buddy Kevin, who had just gotten his license. "Your project's actually pretty cool," he said. "I saw you working on it." Kevin picked me up, drove me to school just in time. I set up fast, did my presentation like my life depended on it. Judges seemed impressed. 3 hours later, they called the winners. 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place, me. I won the scholarship. That evening, Dad came home all cheerful, asking how Tyler's trip went. But it was just me and Tyler in the living room. Jake had stayed behind to help me bring my project home. Tyler, bless his suddenly self-aware heart, said, "Actually, I want to tell you what happened today." He told Dad everything. How I won 1st place, how much work I put in, and how he'd missed it all while driving him to some glorified camping trip. Dad's face went through an emotional slideshow. Confusion, realization, something that almost looked like shame. "You won $5 grand?" he asked. "For that water filter project?" I nodded and held up my trophy. For the first time ever, he actually walked over and looked at my stuff, read my research, turned the filter over in his hands, tested the clean water. "This is incredible," he said. "How long did this take you?" 3 weeks, I said. He sat quiet for a long moment. Then finally, "You want to learn how to drive?" I think that was his way of apologizing. "I think I misjudged some things," he added. "Maybe we should fix that." That Saturday, he took me to an empty parking lot for my first driving lesson. I parallel parked like a boss on the 3rd try. He just shook his head, stunned. "You're a natural." No kidding.